What is up, MSF family? Goofy Rexy here, and hope everybody is doing well, guys. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing the best early to mid-game teams that you should use as a free-to-play player here. So obviously, we know there's some great teams in Marvel Strike Force, but some teams are going to take a little bit longer, because they're in late-game nodes. So might not be as viable options for you when you first start playing this game, or even up to the mid-game point. And I've already talked about it, right? Mid-game for me defined is when you get Ultron. When you get to that point where you're done with Dark Dimension 2, I consider that to be the mid-game point here. So we're going to talk about the best teams that you should use as a early to mid-game player here in Marvel Strike Force. So we're going to start, guys, right now. All right, y'all, welcome back. And if it's the first time coming to the channel here, guys, you'd like to see some more Marvel Strike Force content, I cover everything from beginner to some late game content here. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, as well, hit that notification bell so that you will know when my videos do go live. And some other links too. I do stream weekly, and there's also a link to my Discord. Everything is down in the description, guys. Check it out. But the first team that I'm going to recommend here is going to be the Wave 1 Avengers team, and that probably is for obvious reasons why. This is definitely the recommended main team for all beginners to use. And from a free-to-play standpoint, they are definitely very accessible, right? So Thor is available as a login calendar. You can get him. He's also available in the raid store, but as a beginner player, when you're just starting out, Thor is going to be available as a login calendar. So is Cap. Cap is available as a login calendar. Hulk, you can get through the achievement section. So as you continue to do daily objectives, you reach different milestones, things like that, you're going to be able to get some shards here. I know I should upgrade my Hulk and get him to 7 stars. I do these things on specific days, Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays. His cycle's not here yet. We got a couple other characters that we got to take care of. We have also Black Widow that's available in the heroes. No, she's a villain. She's villains 1-9, and Hawkeye's villains 1-9 as well. But definitely very good early first team. Heroes team is amazing. As a Nexus team, early Nexus team, they're also amazing as well. They're very good for your early arena team. Very solid early arena team. Very difficult team for you to be able to deal with. Especially if you have some other characters there too, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on, kind of as a hybrid Wave 1 Avengers team that also works very well. They also are decent in raids and not very good. They don't have a lot of very sustain, but they're a decent raid team if you do get ISOs on them. So the healer ISO on Thor, on Hulk, and then also on Cap, you could get some pretty solid good sustain from that team at that point in time because of the regenerations. Black Widow with Stryker, and then Hawkeye with Skirmisher, having them mark and having them kind of go back and forth there. Early raids, good. Early raids, decent. If you put those ISOs on them, they actually could work decently well. So definitely for me, one of the best free-to-play teams is definitely the Wave 1 Avengers. They're good early, they're good mid-game, and they're also good late game. A lot of players now are using a lot of these characters for their Dark Dimension runs. Cap, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and even Thor, and Thor mixed with Hela is also being used for Dark Dimension. So for me, definitely the Wave 1 Avengers team is a very good team to go with. Good for your ISO campaign, good for, there's a lot of things that they're good for. War defense, your Doom campaign, so 3-star that Negasonic node. A lot of really good options that you have with the Wave 1 Avengers. So definitely for me, a recommended free-to-play team. All right, the next team on the list here is the Sinister Six team, and this is going to be excluding Doc Ock, obviously, right? Because he's not necessarily an early free-to-play option, or probably a mid-game free-to-play option. Maybe later mid-game option, but Doc Ock is definitely not going to be there. But for sure, I mean, the rest of the characters are definitely viable. I personally would recommend going Mysterio, Electro, Swarm, Rhino, and then it's a toss-up really between Green Goblin or Shocker. It's really going to be up to you in regards to what direction you want to go in. I took off Vulture off the list as an early option just because of Swarm. They're both in the arena store. There's some characters that you're going to want to move on to in the arena store, so therefore I took Vulture off of this list. And I know a lot of people will say, well, Swarm is not good without Doc Ock, right, because of those charges. I find that if any match goes longer than 4 turns anyways, which is how long, Swarm's charges last for, the tomb is essentially doomed because they don't have a lot of sustain period, and it's not going well. So if they lose, it's not because of Swarm. That's basically what I'm trying to say to you here. But it's up to you in regards to what you want to do, but I would personally go with Swarm, Electro, Mysterio, Rhino, and then Shocker. Green Goblin is also good. He does strip buffs, but he's also pretty slow, so I didn't go in that direction. Right now I'm using them on my main account, but that's mainly because of red stars. If it weren't for that, I probably would be using Rhino. So yeah, that's kind of just like my thought process there. They're available, you know, early enough too. Mysterio's in Heroes 2-3. You know, if you choose to go Goblin, he's in Villains 2-3. Electro's in the Boot Store. Swarm is in the Arena Store, which I already talked about. Rhino is also in the Boot Store as well. And Shocker is in 3-9. And Vulture, you already know, is in the Arena Store. So yeah, I mean, they're available early. They're also unlocked 2 legendaries with Shuri and Invisible Woman. You know, Shuri, I think, is pretty important for Chaos Theory. You need those red star promotions, right, to promote your characters, red stars. And then you also want to have Invisible Woman because she's very good. You know, I think on that Fantastic Four team, War Offense team, I definitely find her to be a viable option even for your arena, you know, as well. So arena mid game, she's Invisible Woman is also pretty good there too. And a lot of players are using her now, you know, as a tune for the legendary section in Dark Dimension 4, which for me means that she's probably more viable now as a DD2, or even probably maybe not DD3, but maybe as a DD2 option, which is what I did with on my main account, you know, with Invisible Woman. So definitely a very good team. You can also use them for your Villains Chapter 7, but without Doc Ock, I don't really think that that's really a viable option, just because of the power level that you have to bring them up to in order for them to be successful in that particular area. So Villains 1-6, yes. Villains Chapter 7, a little iffy, but the fact that they unlock 2 legendaries, they're available early, definitely a recommended free-to-play team in my opinion. Next recommended team for me here is going to be the AIM team, and I like the AIM team primarily for what we just talked about, Villains Chapter 7. So Villains Chapter 7, you will unlock at level 70. You also do need to beat Heroes Chapter 7-1 before you actually are able to get access to Villains Chapter 7-1. But once you do, you have some options here that you can use. You have Sinister Six, you have Hydra, and then you also have the AIM team. Now, I recommend going AIM, you know, for this particular reason, from a free-to-play perspective, right? You can't farm Zemo, you probably won't be able to get Red Skull until, you know, later games. So Hydra, I feel like, is not a great option. You can use Sinister Six, but we talked about how you have to invest into them pretty high, and doing that without Doc Ock, I don't think is really worth it. You know, so with the AIM team now, you can bring them to a 120k power level as a team, you know, to 150k power level as a team, and they will definitely be able to get the job done for you. So, and also you can use them for Doom. You can use them for the Doom chapter campaign as well. You know, Doom chapter 2. They're also a team that you can use in some of those Greek raids too, you know, so you're going to get some options out of them as a mid-game player. You can also use them, you know, as a team with Ultron, you know, as like a war team too, you know, once you do unlock Ultron. So there's a lot of really good usage that you can get out of the AIM team. Now, the struggle though is going to be getting some of these characters, right? Graviton, he's in the War Store, so you're going to be farming Sif and probably Minerva, you know, in the War Store at this point. Probably maybe you've advanced to some other characters. That's going to be tough to be able to share that, but if you can get Graviton, I think is a very important character for the team, probably the most important character for the AIM team. AIM Researcher is also a little struggle too, because she's in the Arena Store. You're gonna have a lot of characters in the Arena Store to farm. You can easily replace her with AIM Monstrosity. That would be a direction to go in. AIM Monstrosity is in that Blitz Store. Maybe some competition, but I think it's easier to unlock AIM Monstrosity there in the Blitz Store than maybe with all the characters that you need to farm in the Arena Store. That might not be the best option, but very strong team, like I said, that I like, and I think is a very good free-to-play option for that Villains Chapter 7 campaign. You're going to need to be able to get to Villains 7-6 eventually, right, to be able to farm Hela. So yes, Villains 7-1, 2, and 3, the AIM team, power level 120 to 150k. I think it's a pretty good option for a free-to-play player to be able to beat those nodes. All right, so since we talked about Hero 7-1, right, you're going to need to be able to beat that before you can do Villain 7-1. I would absolutely consider, I got the Hero City roster here. For Hero 7-1, you need Hero City characters in order to be able to beat it. Obviously, Symbiote, Spider-Man, Anti-Venom, not good options. I would recommend for sure Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel, I think, is going to be key for a lot of the comps, you know, for beating that node of Miss Marvel and Symbiote Spider-Man. But obviously, Symbiote Spider-Man is in the milestone orbs. you can't control what you get there. So that's why it was not on the list. Anti-Venom is not farmable, so we got to kind of take him off the list, right? But Miss Marvel, definitely a good option. I would team her up with probably Ghost Rider as another hero brawler. Miss Marvel, she assists, you know, on hero brawlers turns. She can also assist. She can also gain an assist, you know, from another hero brawler when she goes as well. Another damage dealer that you can add is Punisher. Punisher, he is, you know, a part of the skill military team, which is not great, but you know, I still find that Punisher has a lot of really good options. Is a really good option for some other things like block party, you know, things like that, right? Where you can control the farm of that character. I think Punisher is a pretty good character there. Squirrel Girl, late game farm. Didn't think that she would be a very good option. Daredevil, I think also might be a better option now because of the Shadowland team. Might need to see how the Shadowland team performs. I wouldn't worry about Villain 7 or Hero 7 and probably until you get to about level 65 or so. But I want you to at least think about it to a certain extent, you know, as you're going through the game, like, hey, if I unlock Miss Marvel, who, by the way, is in Mystic 2-6, which, yes, might be a little tougher for you to get to as a beginner player. But once you get to the mid-game point, you might already have that node unlocked. She's also only a 15 shard unlock as well. And farming her, by the way, is important because you're going to need her to unlock Ebony Maw. So there's a lot of really good reasons to go after, you know, Miss Marvel. Ghost Rider, very good hero brawler, very good on that supernatural team. Some players are also using him as a part of their Dark Dimension 4, or at least recommended him in certain sections, you know, for that city for Dark Dimension, because obviously there's a lot of characters that, you know, you need to use for those Dark Dimensions there when in those city nodes. And symbiotes, sometimes they eat a lot of bio gear, right? So you might want to have some alternatives, but Ghost Rider is very good damage dealing character. Daredevil, like I said, might be pretty good. Miles, I also found, was very good. Not a lot of investment needs to go into them just to beat that first 7-1. You just need to beat 7-1 in order for you to be able to progress, you know, and start doing Villain 7-1. Night Nurse might be another viable option for you as well. So there's a few free-to-play options that you have here for Hero City that I wanted to talk about and recommend here. Another free-to-play team that I like here is the Asgardian team. And as you can see, we're kind of progressing a little bit here, right? I wanted to talk about Villain 7 first before we even talked about the Asgardian team, because you might, as a free-to-play player, you might not be able to get to Hela until you're done with Villain 7, right? So, hey, I mean, let's talk about the Asgardian team. I think that they're very good. You know, if you do get lucky with Hela, you know, landing her from a premium orb or whatever orbs you land her from, definitely I would say invest into the Asgardian team. Loki is also in the Mystic campaign. He's pretty late too. I think he's 3-6. Yeah, Mystic 3-6. So might not be able to get him as early as well, but once again, this is an early to mid-game list, right? So once you get to that mid-game point, you might be able to get, you know, to Loki, that Loki node. You probably already have Thor, Sif, you know, is in the war store. That's the first recommended war store farm, and Heimdall is in the arena store, which is definitely a recommended farm as well. But this is a very strong team. A lot of people are using, or a lot of late game players aren't using them as much on defense anymore. They're kind of a hybrid option, but early to mid game point, they're a very good team that can do a lot of things for you. Mystic campaign that can help to get you through the entirety of the Mystic campaign once you unlock all the characters. You also need them to unlock Black Bolt, right? They're the team that you have to use to unlock Black Bolt, so that makes them a very good option too, or that makes them an important option for you to go after as well. But they do damage. They're a very strong team. They are helpful in some of those Greek raids as well, those cosmic lanes. You know, they're a good option there for cosmic campaign. They're pretty good if you get access to them earlier on as well. But this is more me thinking about it from a mid-game perspective, right? Once you get Hela, once you unlock her, you know, being able to use this team. So for that reason, I definitely still think that they were very good early to mid game. If you can get them early, good, but definitely you should be able to get them as you approach the mid game. A free to play team that will give you a lot of really good options here. War as well. If I didn't say war already, war, offense or defense, you know, option that you will have, you know, so definitely free to play mention for me. All right, and the final team on my list here, we do have some other honorable mentions that we are going to be talking about, but final team for me is going to be the BH 2.0 team. So the BH 2.0 team for me as a free to play player is a team that I recommend that you should go after as your, or Magneto, I should say, is a team that I recommend you go after as your second, you know, legendary farm here. So you do need, X-Men or Brotherhood characters, X-Men and Brotherhood characters, can unlock Magneto here. So I definitely recommend him as an option here for you. I think the BH 2.0 team is sort of like a sleeper team that nobody really pays attention to, but I use them a lot right now on my main account to do war attacks, and I find that those war attacks are very valuable. I use them sometimes to punch down against mercs. They've kind of gotten too small right now for me to punch down against mercs anymore, but still use them against. I still see a lot of Fury Shield teams that I can punch up against. I still see some Wave 1 Avenger, hybrid teams that I can use them against as well. So, and there's a lot of different teams that I see just in war where I'm like, hey, based on the blinds from Magneto, I can still use him. I can still get this team to do what I need them to do. So Blob, Juggernaut in the arena store, that's where you can farm them. Sabretooth and Mystique, they're not a part of the BH 2.0 team, but you can use Sabretooth and Mystique to unlock Magneto. And if you get a BH 1.0 team, which is Magneto, Juggernaut, Sabretooth, Mystique, Pyro, because guess what? You might not have access to an Emma, right? So as a free-to-play player, so you might not be able to use an Emma Marauders team. Sabretooth and Mystique can work on that team, if you are struggling with some of those characters, right? Because Pyro is in that war store, might not be a very good option for you to be able to use him as early. So maybe you can swap him out. Toad is in that Blitz store though, so you might be able to get him at, like I said, probably recommended farm after you've gone after Electro, after you've gone after Rhino, then Toad, will be your next option here. But I like what they're able to do. Very good. Like I said, war team. You can also use them in Greek raids too. Also very good option for your Greek raids. For your Hela node, you have mystic villain characters. Juggernaut is a mystic villain character that you can use. You have to use mystic villains to unlock that Hela node. So yes, there's villain 7, 1, 2, and 3 that you can use that aim team for, but when you get to 7, 4, 5, and 6, you need a mystic villain team, and Juggernaut is a mystic villain that you can use. And don't worry, you're gonna have more though that you can use as well as a mystic villain that you're gonna be farming in the arena store. We're talking about different things now, but the point is, as BH 2.0 as a free-to-play team, I like them because of war. I like them because of Greek raids. They're also good in arena. Magneto and Juggernaut and Blob, they work very well in arena as well. So I do like the BH 2.0 team as an option for you here. A couple of other honorable mentions that I wanted to talk about is, one of them is the Power Armor team. And I think, Power Armor is a team that I've slept on quite, too much. 233K. They could be so much better. Could be doing so much, so much more for me if I invested into them a little bit more. So right now, as a part of my priority team, the Power Armor team on my Excel spreadsheet, that's one of the teams that I have, right now as a priority team. They're very good. Ironheart is a late game farm, but you can use Vision in place of her until you do get Ironheart. Power Armor is very good in war as well. So you're going to need some war teams. Once you get to the mid-game point, you're going to need some war teams to do some attacks. Power Armor is a good option there. You already have a Wave 1 Avengers team. You can work towards a Supernatural team, but another team that I wanted to mention too was the Fantastic Four team, because you are going to unlock Invisible Woman with Sinister Six and the other characters, Mr. Fantastic, Namor, and Human Torch. I'm using Ultron right now. And as you can see, my Fantastic Four team needs to be invested into a little bit more too. They're also my second priority team that are on my list right now, but they're also another very good team that you can invest into as well, as a war team. Once you do have, the teams I'm recommending here, right? BH 2.0, Power Armor, Fantastic Four. These are teams that can attack multiple teams. Asgardians earlier. These are teams that can attack multiple teams here in war, and you can use your Wave 1 Avengers as well. Once you get Iron Man, because Iron Man's pretty easy to unlock as well. If we talk about the Wave 1 Avengers team, you can use Hawkeye, Black Widow, Cap, as 3 characters that you can use to unlock Iron Man. You just need one more additional character at 3 stars to be able to unlock Iron Man, and you can use them on your Wave 1 Avengers team, or you can use them, as a part of your Power Armor team. And then Supernatural, I think, is a sneaky good team, with a few characters that you can use too. That might be a pretty good free-to-play option as well. But obviously, as you progress, right? As you progress in the game, you're going to be able to have access to Inhumans, because of your Asgardians. You're going to be able to have access to X-Force, right? Because you're going to be able to use your Wave 1 Avengers team to get to that Negasonic node, or in 3-star that Negasonic node, right? You're going to have a lot of different options that you have available to you. But from an early to mid-game perspective, these are the teams that I'm recommending that you should definitely work on, or at least look into, right? Wave 1 Avengers, Sinister Six, AIM, you know, Hero City, the Hero City combo that I mentioned, Asgardians, BH 2.0, Power Armor, Fantastic Four, Inhumans later, X-Force later, Supernatural. And Fury Shield is also kind of a sneaky option too that you can use in some, you know, interchangeable areas like your Greek raids as well. But listen, guys, I hope that this video was helpful for you. I appreciate you guys watching. Of course, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments, guys, or join the Discord, or ask me live on Twitch, whichever one, guys. Once again, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button as well, guys. Share the video, hit the notification bell as well so that you can know when my videos do go live. Appreciate you guys much. Y'all be blessed and y'all be safe.